Hello and welcome back to the Adulting 101 Academy. This is your channel to help you master the essential skills every adult should know. Today, we're actually going to dive into a topic that I think is incredibly practical and would help save you some time and effort, and that is the tools that you need for your home and for yard maintenance. Now, this is an area that a lot of people don't necessarily think about when they get their first home or even just move into an apartment, but this hopefully will help you give an idea some tools that you need, especially if you don't have a toolbox or a set of tools to begin with. But before we dive into this, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It really does help get this channel going so more people can see it, more people can understand things that they need to know, things that they can learn that will help them as they move into their adult life. So it's important right now, guys, to know that the right tools can help make your home repair, your yard maintenance, much easier, much more efficient. So whether you're doing a leaky faucet or trimming the hedges or just trying to fix the plates on your light switches, having the right tools does matter. So right off the bat, the very first set of tools that I want to talk about is a hammer. A hammer is something that every apartment, every house, every individual should own a hammer just because it does so much stuff. Now, one thing I want to encourage you, if you do go out and get a hammer, don't get a cheap dollar store hammer. Those can break if you have a bad handle, you hit it too many times too hard, it can just snap off, and that's never a good thing. So go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot, go to Menards. Even Walmart has some quality ones. If you spend a few dollars more and get ones that with strong, sturdy handles, I mean, this is something you can use to drive nails in, so if you want to hang stuff up, if you need to um, connect boards, or if you need to even pull things apart, hammers are essential. They are a big thing that you need to have at your home. Next thing you'd have is a screwdriver set. Now you've got to have at least a flathead and a Phillips. Now, if you don't know the difference, a flathead is just like it sounds. It is just a straight, flat area that goes into the screws that have just one line. The Phillips kind of creates that X or the plus sign symbol for those type of screws. So those are things you need to have. Those are the most common things you will see when it comes to screws, screwing in and out. Now, one thing I would tell you is make sure you get different sizes of screwdrivers if you have the ability to. There are some things, especially like the little decorations that take the smaller batteries, that the screwdrivers they need are much smaller in size, not as wide, not as thick. But you go to things like I said, doing a wall plate for your light switch or something like that, you're going to need a regular size screwdriver. So know that there are different sizes, they do different things. So try and get different things that will help you out. I personally like the screwdrivers that you can put a different tip or bit into to be able to change it to size and shape. So if you have a screw that has a star or hexagon type shape and outside of the normal things, you can get those little sets probably for about $10 that have multiple options and different sizes. Those work great. The next thing is an adjustable wrench. And this is something that actually I've used actually a couple times in the last couple of days alone. We've been building some little garden things for the back area, some little raised gardens. And in order to screw the screw into the bolt, you got to hold the bolt still. And that's what you use the adjustable wrench for. It holds it on. You screw with the regular screwdriver, tightens it up. It works great. So those are the first three things I would say that every house, every apartment needs to have. Next thing is a tape measure. If nothing else, just to know how tall your kids are as they're growing is something important to have, but really you do need to have tape measure. If you're moving into an apartment or a house and you're buying couches or things like that, you want to know how much space you have. Tape measure is the way to do it. If you're trying to design something on your wall or just do decorations, that's a big thing. And speaking of decorations, a level is a huge thing. Now you can get the big ones that are like 2 feet or a foot and a half long. Those work great. You can get bigger ones as well, but you can also get the smaller ones. They're like 6 inches long. I prefer having the ones that are about a foot and a half, so 18 inches, just because I can draw straight lines with them. It helps me with that type of thing. And it just gives me a little more confidence the longer it is, knowing that I can see the bubble to make sure it's straight, make sure it's there. If you're hanging pictures or things like that, you definitely want to level to make sure that they are, you know, level. Obviously, that's what it makes it. But also, if you kind of have certain rooms where maybe the ceiling is not straight perfectly or has a slant to it. If you don't have a level, you could actually hang something crooked and not realize it. Next thing is a utility knife. This is great if you're, just opening packages from Amazon. It helps you cut the wrapping off. It helps you get into, you buy some new things at Walmart. Have a utility knife to cut open the packaging. It's a simple thing, but it is useful. And utility knives are used quite a bit around the house. If you've never owned a home before or you're getting your first apartment, you'll be surprised how many times you'll get something or need a knife and be like, man, I wish I had that, or I can't find it. So one of the things I make sure I do is I have more than one of most of these items. I have a couple different hammers. One because I'm using one, my wife needs a hammer. We both have a hammer, screwdrivers as well. I have multiples because I also lose a lot of stuff. I just don't know where I put it down, don't know which box it's in or which toolbox. And so having multiples is always a good thing. Next thing is pliers. And I know I talked about earlier about the adjustable wrench. Pliers work great too. They're kind of easier to maneuver a lot of times. So I like having pliers. There are different types of pliers. You get the needle nose, you get the regular pliers. There's different sizes. So kind of know that each one has its own little um, focus, and all those you can use them for different areas of needs. Having different sizes helps you out. Just in case you get those small areas you can't quite get the big ones into, just makes it easier. Now, the next one is not necessarily one you need to have at your house, but I do strongly encourage it. That's an electric drill. If you're trying to screw something into the wall and you're doing it without a hole pre-drilled, it can get pretty tough. In fact, especially if you hit into, a hard piece of wood or something like that, it can be a lot of work to do it with a handheld screwdriver. So I would say an electric drill is always nice, not necessarily a must have, but I do encourage it just because it does make things a lot easier. But also know that if you're going to screw things into a wall, make sure you have the anchors to go with that. Those are the little plastic pieces you stick into holes and then you screw the screw into into that anchor. It helps keep things stronger. It's sturdier into the wall. So know that that is something important. If you do an electric drill, you drill a hole to hang a picture or whatever, have those anchors. That makes a big difference. Now, the next thing I have on my list is not a high priority, but if you are moving into your first home and you want to decorate, you want to put up photos, you want to put up paintings, you want to hang art, whatever you want to do like that, a stud finder can save you from drilling dozens and dozens of holes and having things rip out of the wall because it wasn't into something solid. Now, what if you don't know what a stud finder is? It is something you put up against a wall, and as you move it, it will beep when it finds the different two by fours within that wall, so you know where these studs are on the strong points of your wall, and that's what you would drill into to hang things because it gives you a lot more support, a lot sturdier. Especially if, let's say you're hanging a TV, you want to make sure you drill into a stud. If you drill it into just the drywall, even though the TVs nowadays are much lighter, they're still going to rip out of that drywall. So finding a stud, finding that solid piece of wood to drill into will make a big difference for not having your TV fall off the wall and shatter into pieces. So just know that. So the next thing for yard maintenance, moving outside. Now, if you have just an apartment, this stuff's not going to mean much to you. In fact, it probably won't be any good for you at all. If you're renting a home or you have a home, this is stuff you're going to definitely need. First of all, lawnmower. Unless you live like in Arizona where there are no yards and everything's fake grass or rock or something like that, you got to have a lawnmower. I recommend you kind of decide between having a blower in the back or having a bag to catch it. I like using the bag so that way I don't have all the grass clippings just thrown all over the place. I know some people try and rake it up. If I'm going to rake it up, I'm just going to do it into the bag and be done. So I don't have to worry about doing that part. So make sure that most lawnmowers nowadays have both options. So it's not really a big deal. But I would recommend getting a bag with your lawnmower. If it doesn't come with one, pick a different lawnmower and just have it. It makes things a lot easier. Next thing is a rake. Now, here's an interesting thing for you guys to know, and I actually learned this just yesterday as I was doing leaves. The metal rakes are great for like moving dirt and stuff. So you get those hard metal ones, they're really strong. but they don't do leaves very well because they catch into the ground, they catch in the grass, they kind of rip the leaves apart. So when it comes to rakes, there's two types of rakes you want to get. A metal one, so you can do like garden stuff, and then the plastic ones, which are usually a lot bigger. Those work great for leaves and yard debris and that type of stuff. Now, once again, if you have a house, you're going to want a hose. You got to have a hose to get the water, even for no other reason but to hook up a sprinkler. So if you have kids, they can jump through the water. So having a sprinkler, or even if you're an adult, have a sprinkler just so you can relax and have fun out there. Having a hose is essential. I would recommend at least a 50-foot hose. And with that, I'd also encourage you to get one of those like hose containers that you can roll it up. Those are actually really nice. So you don't have hose just laying all over your yard. Pruning shears is also a nice thing to have if you got like bushes and shrubs that you want to cut things down a little bit. Pruning shears work great. Now at my parents' house when I was growing up, we had pruning shears, but we really didn't need them. Our whole yard was grass except we had a couple blueberry bushes in the back, and we didn't really trim those too much because we wanted them to grow and produce blueberries. So we did have them. We did use them once in a while for like blackberries and stuff in the back, but most of the time wasn't much that we use. But now in my house I'm living at now in North Dakota, I've got bushes and shrubs all over the place. I gotta use pruning shears. So get those. You don't need big fancy ones. As long as they cut, they'll work fine. Now you do need a shovel. Now there's a couple different types of shovels. You got the kind of the pointed shovel at the end that helps you really dig into the dirt, kind of break it up. You have the ones that are very square-like. Those are great for like picking stuff up off of it, kind of scooping a little bit. And then you get the big snow shovels. And I mentioned snow shovels because I live in North Dakota. We've got to have snow shovels. That's a big one. So know that there's a few different types of shovels. Make sure you get good handles. You don't want flimsy, weak handles because they will snap. I've snapped a few shovels in my life, and it's never fun, especially if you're trying to really dig in the dirt, you're pulling back and it snaps. Usually you fall down, doesn't feel good. The next thing, wheelbarrow. Now, this is actually one that I've had wheelbarrows in the past, and currently I don't have a wheelbarrow, and I wish that I did. Just moving things from the front to the back instead of having to carry bags of soil back and forth, back and forth, back and forth from the car to the backyard. A wheelbarrow is nice. You just throw it all in there and walk to the back. The last wheelbarrow I had, the wheel went flat and never fixed it, so it is what it is. They are nice to have. I do recommend them. Get a wheelbarrow. Try and get one that's a little bit nicer if you can, but if you can't, the cheap ones still roll and carry stuff. Hedge trimmer is kind of like what we talked with the pruning shears, cutting bushes, cutting things like that. Just anything to kind of make things easier, make things look nice around the house. Now, here are some things that these are musts. These are things that I'm going to tell you right now. You've got to have a hammer, you got to have screwdrivers, you got to have tape measures and things like that. But this stuff is just as important. You've got to have a flashlight, and not just any flashlight. You need to have those ones that the headlamps that you put on your head, put on your hat, that type of stuff. Those are huge, especially if you're working in an area where it's dark or maybe the power's out or something like that. Having your hands free is important. So get those headlamps. They're cheap, they're easy. I think I bought like a 3-pack for $15 and they work great. You can get some that are rechargeable. You can get some that use AAA, AA batteries. Get flashlights, plus get some regular handheld flashlights as well, because those are usually a little bit more powerful. But get the headlamps. That way you have both hands free to do work. That's nice. Duct tape is a must. Duct tape, duct tape, duct tape. You would not believe how many things I have fixed with duct tape alone. Heck, NASCAR fixes cars with duct tape. So it works, it's strong, it does a lot of things. Even just hanging stuff up just for a little bit, just to get it out of the way, duct tape's great. Safety glasses are something that a lot of people overlook. They don't think about it. But really, if you're out mowing, you might want to have safety glasses. If you're doing a weed eater, you definitely want to have safety glasses on because I've had stuff shoot up in my eyes all the time. If you're working, just in whatever, if you're sawing something like that, or you're working in trees or bushes, you want to have safety glasses. Nothing worse than getting smacked in the eye. Your eye is, watering, hurting, can't see for a couple hours. It's not a good situation. So have safety glasses. And with that, work gloves. You cannot work outside without work gloves. I mean, you can, but I don't know why you would. Because you can go to Walmart and you can buy like a 6 pack of those OK gloves for 5, $6 or like a bucket glove, and they have protective. They keep you from getting poked by branches and thorns, stuff like that. Get work gloves. Use them. I use them inside. I use them outside. I use them all the time. I even got some nice ones from Costco that are actually insulated, so during the winter I can do work and do that out in the cold. And then the ladder. The ladder is something that people know that they need, but they don't always realize it. In my house that I currently live in, we've got kind of like vaulted ceilings in the kitchen, living room area, and we put stuff up on top on shelves. And in order to get up there and clean or get things down, you got to have a ladder. A stool just doesn't do it. Even for part of our area, to reach the ceiling, it's like 15 feet, and no stool is going to get you up there. You got to have that ladder to get you up there to kind of dust and get the cobwebs down. And then, guys, last thing, some bonus tools I want you guys to consider. I put snowblower on here because I live in North Dakota. And if you live in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, even Missouri, if you live in the New England area, you're going to want a snowblower because if you get a foot of snow, shoveling your driveway, shoveling the sidewalk, is not fun. It is an absolute pain having a snowblower, although it still is a little bit of work. So if you've got arthritis or something wrong with your hands or arms, snowblower is going to hurt a little bit. They're still rough, but they're so much nicer than having a shovel. It's faster, it's easier, and it's kind of fun too. I also put a generator on here. This is something that a lot of people overlook, don't think about. Now I know generators can be expensive. You can find some for $500 up to $5,000. And there's even some that I think are a little bit cheaper than that, but they don't have as much power. But having a generator is important. I mean, obviously we think about like Florida and North Carolina and Texas when they get hit by hurricanes, they can be out for power for a week. But here up in the Midwest and the Great Plains, we get snow and blizzards and we can lose power for a while. California has rolling brownouts and blackouts that they plan and do. So having generators is important for there. And in the Northwest, you have floods. And so everywhere in the country, there is a reason to have a generator. So if you can afford one, get one. I know they're expensive. I mean, I'm in my 40s and I didn't get my first generator until like 2 years ago. So it's not like it's something I went out and just bought when I was 18. I'm an adult with a good job. My wife has a good job, and we finally got one. So it will take time, but do your research. There's solar generators, there's gas generators. There's some nice ones out there that can power fridges, they can power TVs, DVD players, all that type of stuff. And the last thing I recommend is get those how-to books. Go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's. They've got like 100 home repair books. The book that says 100 home repairs. Get that. I've got one from Home Depot, and I look at it every once in a while, just like, oh, that makes sense on how to do that. It just makes it easier. Now, granted, we have Google and YouTube, and I use that all the time. That is a great way to get information, but what happens if your internet's down? Or what happens if for some reason power's out? You're not going to have the internet. Having that book can help you fix things, shut off your water or things like that. So, just some tips for you guys, some ideas for tools for you to consider to have. If you have any other tools that you think people should definitely have, post it in the comments below. I can always do a follow-up or add it to the list of things down below and let people know tools that they should have. So, once again, if you like this video, you like the videos I've been doing, they're simple. I know they're not real creative. I'm not a creative person, but I do want to get the information out there to help people out. So please subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share it with people. If you know of someone else out there who's maybe just moving into adulthood, getting their first apartment, buying their first home, starting a family, or trying to find their first job, tell them about this channel and help spread the word so we can get more people out there trying to figure things out and getting some help through Adulting 101 Academy. Because I'm Josh, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.